good afternoon to you, and welcome to Lyca TV YouTube. Today, it's a very special interview because it's not only about information. What we're talking about today is the safety of people, the safety of you. And so, with me in the studio is a very, very special gentleman indeed, a station commander from the London Fire Brigade, Hardeep. Over 20 years of experience, seen fires of all sorts, seen fires that could have been avoided, seen fires that could not have been avoided, but has been there at the thick and thin of it. A very, very good afternoon to you. Thank you for coming to Lyca. And I'll start with a very straightforward question. What is a fire?
So a fire is a chemical reaction which will lead to obviously heat, bright light, flames, and it can be very, very dangerous. So very simply, it's a chemical reaction of combustion using oxygen and fuel and an ignition source, which will then turn into the startings of a fire.
Very, very nice scientific explanation there of a fire. But there are people, as we know now, who like to play with fire. I mean, as a kid, I used to think it was a great thing to have a fire and the warmth and the sparks and stuff. But we move into things like fireworks, and now that Diwali is coming on, now that celebrations are going to be all over the weekends, because I think Diwali is falling on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Can you tell me, if I was to say, look, I'd like to have a fire in my house or in my back garden, would that be a good idea, or would it be better to have fireworks, or would it be better to go to a display? What should we do?
So your safety is paramount. And so far as London Fire Brigade are concerned, and me personally, you need to be aware of all safety precautions around fires itself, starting from candles, divas, any kind of fires we have, ovens, however the Asian community work. We need to understand the risks involved in this and put precautions in place if we are going to do this. Now, there are candles that don't involve naked flame. We have the LED candles we can use that have the flickering effect. I would advise to use those because obviously we're looking at now a naked flame, paper, curtains, children can cause devastation. It doesn't take long for a naked flame to flicker and attach to any kind of combustible material, which will lead on then to a more dangerous fire. If you are going to use any of these materials, we'd advise be with it. So don't leave it alone if you can. Definitely put things out, make sure they're out. If you leave the premises, going to bed, just please make sure any naked flames of any sort are put out, 100% out, cold, cool, water used where you need to before you walk away, because you could come back to something that you really don't want to.
So a bit like a double check before you go to sleep or something like that.
Triple check if you can. It's your safety in hand. Fireworks. Now, we have had a 13% rise in calls since 2022. In 2023 around Diwali, Bonfire Night and Halloween. So combined, we're now seeing a rise in fireworks. And we've gone through austerity, so people are worried about costs of things, which could lead then to buying cheaper, inferior products. I would advise make sure there's CE marks, so conformity European marks on this, so you know that they are registered proper products.
Just to stop you, a CE mark means a fire safety standard, isn't it?
It's a safety standard for the European safety standard. You'll see it on plugs and all other things. If you look, you'll see a CE mark on there.
Right.
Just watch out for those if you can. Try not to buy the cheaper fireworks or even cheaper plugs, because you just don't know what you're buying.
Okay, moving on. That's a very important point. Make sure that they've got a CE certificate on there, and make sure that you triple check. I absolutely agree. But with a lot of the Asian community, obviously the whole point, especially Diwali, is surrounded by lights, the feeling of fireworks representing lights, and the sparklers for children. Do you have any advice for people, perhaps with animals, perhaps with pets and stuff? Because it does actually lead one thing after another. Big bangs and stuff, they make them. Can we allow them to roam around while the fireworks are going on? Should we keep them at home? Should we send them to the back? What do we do?
So, adding to that, I would suggest, if you can, don't have fireworks displays at home. If you can, go to a fireworks night somewhere, a bonfire night, which everyone's had, the safety measures are done, the fire safety's all been put into place. It's made for you. It'll probably be more extravagant than in your own home, and it will be safer. So I would advise to do that. Going back, if you do have to do it at home, just please bear in mind your animals, other people's animals, because animals, they don't know what's going on. They could get frustrated, and it might not just be yours. It could be your neighbour's dogs or cats. So knock on your neighbour's doors, ask them. So look, we're going to do a display. Is it okay? Could you please keep your pets inside? You know, just in case, because we don't know where they are flying obstacles, aren't they? They could end up anywhere in certain circumstances. Going back to the flying obstacles, if you do put it through your neighbour's window or roof or anything like that, because we are now getting fireworks that are quite explosive at home being used, you could also be liable for paying for their window. And if their house goes alight, they're not home. You need to be aware of the risks there. So I don't think we think about the bigger picture that I've set off a rocket, it's gone off somewhere, and I've smashed somebody's window.
Is there a sort of connection between the explosion of, say, a firework and damage to a window? Can the explosions actually break a window, or does it have to hit the window?
Depending on the firework, anything of that heat and magnitude hitting anything could cause damage. But just being aware of that. If you're not aware of that at home, you know, you could be putting yourself at risk. So going on to that as well, it's respect for your neighbours and obviously their pets, children, etc. Because we do have, so Diwali will be on one day, Halloween will be on, and the bonfire nights on another day. You know,
Yeah.
we would say maybe again speak to your neighbours, see if you could put a timeline on it. So that we're
Yeah.
going to do our fireworks and we're going to stop at 11 o'clock. Is that okay with you? So they can make arrangements or adjustments. They may be able to take their pet to somebody's house and spend 3 or 4 hours there and come back. You know?
Okay, moving forward, would you say there's anything that, say, I mean, with around Diwali being an Asian festival, that the Asian community tend to do that they shouldn't do, they must not do, perhaps, around the Diwali time? Maybe lighting fireworks, not fireworks indoors, but sparklers indoors, which is quite common. I remember as a kid, we thought, well, I'm in the kitchen, it's not a big deal, it's a lino floor, but really and truly, that's probably the biggest mistake you can make, isn't it?
Yes, lino floors can, you know, they're made out of a plastic formula, aren't they? So they're going to probably light up quicker or just as quick as a carpet and more ferociously, quite possibly. So, you know, think about that. And going back to fireworks in your hands, try not to handle fireworks.
Try not to handle
Try
them.
not to handle them because you are putting yourself at risk. I've seen it where someone's accidentally got the other end of a sparkler that's just gone out and they've burnt their hand.
Yeah,
You know,
yes.
also try to not go back to a firework. If it's lit and it hasn't gone off, please don't go back to that firework because you just don't know what's
If
happening.
it could explode again.
Exactly.
Right.
Should that happen, by the way, should anything like that happen, please call 999 and you will get, you know, you'll get help, whether it's the LAS or the fire service or the police, you will get help.
Talking about things like this, I mean, last year it was very, very busy for the fire brigade. How busy was it when it came to Diwali and this time of year? What were you on for? Lots of calls or
So 2,000 calls.
2,000 calls.
2,000
Was there any
calls.
particular common call you would have said that you just saw time and time again?
I can't answer that at this moment. It will be something control could answer because control staff will take those calls. But just the fact that there's a 50% rise or a 58% rise almost in that time compared to your other daily calls shows that the risk is more significant.
What I'm trying to ask here is, with the Charge Safe campaign, the government is also, as you quite rightly did tell me earlier, teaming up with the London Fire Brigade for the Buy Safe, Be Safe campaign. What I want to find out is, because at the time of Diwali, at the time of Christmas even, you know, children are given presents, they're given lots of money even to save up to buy maybe an e-scooter, maybe an e-bike. And we've all done it. If it's cheaper, I'll go for that one because I save a few bucks. But that's actually, in the long run, quite a dangerous thing to do. People have really cut corners and unfortunately got fatally mistaken by it. Can you explain a little bit why that's so dangerous to buy the cheapest thing on the street, and how they should make sure they'd be safe?
So quite importantly, we've had 3 deaths or around e-scooter, e-bike fires. So and more importantly, the deaths weren't the people who owned the bikes.
Right.
They were tragically people who lived in the flats or the areas where these bikes were stored. So, we've had 150 e-bike fires and we've had 35 e-scooter fires in 2023. And it's probably, the e-bike, e-scooter market is rising. So quite essentially, if you are buying anybody an e-bike or an e-scooter, please use a reputable source. So we have our campaign, which is the Charge Safe campaign, London Fire Brigade. Also, the government have just launched today the Be Safe, Buy Safe, Be Safe campaign. And what that's telling you is, and what we're advising you is, buy everything from one place if you can. Get your e-bike, your battery, your charger, all components from the same person, the same company, obviously a reputable company, to keep yourself safe. Because these fires, they're not like your normal fire. They go, when they go very, very quickly.
Like an explosion and then start spreading?
It's like a chain reaction of an explosion. If you could imagine when you light a firework and you see that the bit going off, the charge going off, and it chases it. That's exactly what this battery do, but a lot more ferocious. So I'd encourage members of the public, your
community, people, listeners.
So I would encourage members of the
that,
public, the Lyca community, to go online and have a look at some of these e-scooter fires with the lithium-ion batteries, just to give you an idea of what and how powerful and how significant they can be. But bear in mind, you can't smell and you can't really see or touch what you're going to see. So in your properties, the toxic vapors that will come off of these e-scooters at that rapid speed is enough to do itself a lot of harm.
Okay, that's a very, very good point. But looking forward, what would you say the key messages are, apart from, of course, parking your bike safely, getting perhaps the batteries from reputable shops and everything? What else would be the key messages, would you say, on the Buy Safe, Charge Safe campaigns that are so important at this time of year?
So do your homework, do your groundwork, make sure you're buying it from a reputable buyer. Use the sources we've given you: Buy Safe, Be Safe, the LFB campaign, e-bike campaign we're doing. Use the tools we're giving you and have a look at the safety precautions. So, for instance, if your battery's hot, don't put it on charge, because it's only going to get hotter, and then it will probably have a better chance of going through an ignition. Don't charge them on carpet or wood surfaces, any combustible surface. Try a hard, flat surface that's non-combustible. That's not going to light up if it does go off. Be with your items while they're on charge. Again, when you're cooking, we say the same thing: watch your cooking. Be with these items. Just like you're going to put your candles out, before you go to bed, take it off charge, take it off, put the battery in a safe place.
Can people come to you, the London Fire Brigade, for advice? Can they ring you up, or is there a leaflet, or is there some website that you can recommend people can go to?
So the Charge Safe LFB webpage will give you all the details you need to contact LFB if you need to. And most importantly, what we are saying is do what you need to do. Make sure you're safe. Put everything in place that we've mentioned, but call 999. If you need to call 999, call 999.
Right. Last but not least, I want to go back to the sort of the Diwali coming up and everything that's going on there. What advice would you give anybody out there who's, I would say, a little confused about whether to not only go to a firework display, but I mean, in general, the children are saying, no, I want to buy a sparkler, daddy, please, mummy, do this, let's buy. And some, you can get some pretty good bargains out there and deals with fires. What advice would you give anybody out there at the moment thinking of doing some parties, thinking of letting off fireworks or candles in their home? What should they do?
One thing I would like to say here is we were going to say it with the bikes. If it's too good to be true, it probably isn't. It probably is too good to be You know, don't go and buy something that is overly cheap because it may be made from inferior products. If you're going to use fireworks at home, make sure they're the correct fireworks for home use. Make sure they're from a reputable store. Make sure they've got the kite marks that prove they're reputable as much as you can. Give your children a short briefing of how you're going to work your evening. Keep it safe. Keep it away from wooden fence panels in the garden. Get a hose. If you've got a hose, have a hose ready on the side that you can just turn on. You can put the fire out.
Quickly spray out
yep,
anything
yep.
that's good idea.
You know, have those precautions in place. Keep it away from the house. And again, if anything does happen, don't be afraid. Before you start recording with your telephone, make sure 999 has been called, because we don't want to see the video. We want you to call us so we can get there and help you. So very, very importantly, make sure you phone 999, and then I'll record as much as you like, but make sure someone's called 999 and that there is help on the way.
So on just to add to that, and I know I've summarised, but you've literally, I think, touched on something very, very important that people have been asking me. What is a cheap firework?
That I can't answer. All I would say is, if the regulations aren't met and you're buying it from a non-reputable store, let's say in the back of a van or somewhere, I wouldn't encourage that. I wouldn't encourage anybody to do that. If it is too cheap, there's probably something wrong with it. Just do your due diligence and buy it from a reputable store that you know you're safe, because safety is paramount. That's your family, that's your life, that's your neighbours' families, that's your community you're protecting there by just buying the right thing for the right use.
Once again, thank you very much, Hardeep Dale, for coming into the studios and I think highlighting something that's very, very important, because it's very easy to buy or save a little money and buy an e-scooter. It's very easy to save a little money and buy a cheaper firework. But you have highlighted what everyone's concern is. If it is too cheap, then it's probably something to avoid for our own safety. Hardeep Dale, thank you so much for coming in, and a very happy Diwali to you.
Thank you very much.